Let's have a conversation.
Thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, and I'm sure I'll see you at one of these events again
all
soon.
time, we got Mark with the Mindful Reality podcast, who I've been a guest on, and it was a blast.
Thank you for having me, honestly, and I cannot wait to do it again. We're going to do this again in the future. I just know it.
What's up, everybody? Good evening. This live probably won't be a terribly long one. And as a disclaimer for anyone who comes on this page for exclusively just for reality TV content, this is not really reality TV related. It is personal in nature. Random live. Hi, Ma. Hi, IJ. Just looking for a prayer to play. Good night. Good night, IJ. Yeah, this isn't personal in nature. So I put the title as I'm betting on myself. For anyone who has a subscription to either my channel here or my other channel, Music and Mental Health, you already know what this means. But what it actually means is that soon, shortly, starting next month, I'm no longer going to be at my place of employment. And it was a long time coming. Really, to go back in my history, I went to school. I finished high school 18 years ago at this point. Went to college. I got a business degree. I came out of college. I tried to get different jobs with that business degree. They all said, "What experience do you have?" You all know the runaround. But anyways, fast forward. I've been in the field of mental health for the last 8 years. Getting into the field of mental health was a career change. It was totally different than what I thought that I would be doing. I never thought that I would be a counselor, but I just kind of fell into that because of my own circumstances. That's how I became a peer counselor. I became a peer counselor because of my own very severe anxiety disorder, depression, agoraphobia, and panic disorder. Hi, Tammy. I think I missed you. So that led me to receiving a lot of counseling and going to a day treatment program for behavioral health. And through that program is when I decided to become a peer counselor. I became a certified peer counselor in 2015. And I remember my first peer job. I really loved it. It didn't pay much. It paid me minimum wage, which I think at that time was $7 and $7.75 or $7.50, something like that. It was something in the sevens, I believe, and then it went up to $8, and it eventually went up to $11. But that's neither here nor there. I love the job. I was facilitating, I think, 2 or 3 group counsel groups. And then, I escalated. Oh, hell, this is where you went. Hi, Lin, and hi, Holly. So after that, I stepped up and I got into a position in a clinic, in a behavioral health clinic, where I was seeing my clients in an office and we were having one-on-one counseling sessions, everything like that. I was in that particular company for quite a while until the pandemic in 2020. At the end of 2020, I got a job with my current company as a peer counselor, but for them it's called a wellness and recovery specialist, but that's AKA a peer counselor with a fancy name. And I believed that that job would be similar to what I was doing before, but it couldn't be any more different. It has the title of counselor, but really it operates more like care coordinator. I'm not really going to go deeply into that because anyone who's familiar with the social work field probably would know the difference between a counselor. Even if you don't know what specifically a peer counselor is, you can have an idea of the difference between a peer counselor and a care coordinator. A care coordinator is literally coordinating your care. So if you need to get a if you need a primary care physician, if you need a dentist, if you need to get yourself to a psychiatrist, if you need transportation, if you need food stamps, if you need whatever else, the care coordinator is somebody who works to get you all these different services that you need. So basically, that's what a lot of companies, because I don't want to just pinpoint my company, but that's what a lot of companies are expecting out of peer counselors nowadays. Less counseling and more connecting you to different services. And I realized that it wasn't for me 2 years ago. But I had a tendency 2 years ago to do something for a few months and quit. Do this for a few months, and then I'm like, I don't like this, I quit. Do this for a few months, and then I don't like this, and then I quit. But this one, I said, I don't want to be a quitter. I want to find every avenue that I can to make this work. It could fall under that umbrella, Holly. It's not specifically like that, but it could fall under that umbrella because we are dealing with we're dealing with a substance abuse population of either alcohol or opioids. But I said, I really want to stick this one out. And I really want to make this work because I've always felt like, am I a quitter at work? Because I don't seem to stick things out long enough and try every avenue that I can to make it work. But this time, I feel like I exhausted all options. I had times that I had to go to HR. I bought books for different things that I was trying to deal with. I spoke to EAP. I did a lot of things. I think that I impacted a lot of my clients during my time there. Hi, Lisa. I think I impacted a lot of my clients during my time there, despite the management not really caring for me too much, but the clients, I would always focus on the feedback that I was getting from them. And it wasn't really a tough decision to go. It was a tough decision to go, but it wasn't a tough decision today. This was something that I was feeling for several months. I can't see those comments, so I'm gonna have to open it up on my phone to be able to see those comments. I know what it is though, because I did those emojis for my members. So it looks like it's probably those gummy bears. But anyways, it wasn't a hard decision today because it's something that I've been thinking about and mapping out in my head. Oh, now I see it. Something I've been thinking about and mapping out in my head for months. And I don't know if anyone has ever woke up in the morning. I don't know if you've ever had what feels like a very hard decision, and then you wake up and you feel like this is my decision. That's kind of how it is for me. I might hem and ha over making decisions. It might take me forever to make a decision. But once I've weighed out everything, pros and cons, and I feel it in my spirit, that's it. That's what's happened in most scenarios in my life, where once I get to the point of conclusion, there's nothing to think about anymore. And that's where I was when I woke up in the morning. I woke up, I was like, yep, this is it. Given in my 2 weeks, I knew it for sure. In terms of what I'm going to do in the immediate aftermath, will I be able to do this in the immediate aftermath? No. I don't mean no as in I'm not going to be on this channel, but what I mean is obviously as of now, what I make for this channel is not even close to replacing an income. So I will be searching for other sources of income. Possibly even, part-time work while I figure it out. But I do have a goal to eventually be able to say that these things that I'm doing here are my full-time. That's my goal. And now I'm going to have more time towards making that happen. I'm going to try my hardest. So glad you made this choice for yourself, Mark. It's not back in the day like our grandparents. Well, thankfully you thankfully got a job, then worked at till 65, love or hate. Yeah, I was talking to one of my friends about that today. That was, my parents and grandparents' life. Be depressed at work for 30, 40 years, 45 years, and then retire and lose 30, 40 years of your life to depression. And that's not wellness to me. I can't let money buy my happiness. In other words, I can't sit somewhere that's making me depressed just to pay the bills. Even if it was something that was moderately okay for me, I might stick it out. Like if it wasn't something that I would look at the time and I say it's 11:30 p.m. and I'm dreading the next morning because I have to clock in and log into work, it occupies too much of my mind space. Oh, I'm a gummy bear. Yes, I'm a gummy bear. Damn right, Lisa. I was the same with relationships. 2 years and I'm over it, not investing more time and energy into crap. Another thing that happened to me was I had applied for a job recently. I did the interview. I was really hoping I was going to get the job, but I was not hoping I was going to get the job because of how interested I was in the job. I was hoping that I was going to get the job because I felt like, oh, this thing is going to rescue me from this one. When really, I kind of know better than that. It could have temporarily rescued me from an imminent future, of not having a direct deposit in my account every 2 weeks. However, it would not have rescued me in a sense of 6 of one, half a dozen of another, which is one of my favorite phrases, which means same ish, different toilet. My grandpa worked for the same job for decades until he was laid off. That's why you're not Mrs. D. Yeah, buddy. Someone keeps banging on the wall. Oh no, I got older, less picky, and realized what I actually needed in a relationship. Then settled down. Nothing will be a perfect fit. Just has to be perfect for the two people in it. It's always been a dream of mine to work the same job and work my way up. You know what? At 20 years old, I was willing to do that. And I tried. I honestly tried. And I started to feel like something was wrong with me because I'm like, how come I start with these jobs? I have a goal of getting in here, doing my best and working my way up, but I'm finding I'm not going up fast enough. I don't feel like I'm being valued. I don't feel like my skill set meshes with what they're asking me to do. Issues with management, issues with this and that, people saying all kinds of things about me. And I started to internalize that, and my work life was affecting my real life because I don't feel like work life is real life. But then when you think about it, if you're at a job for 40 hours a week, let's say that it's 9 to 5, you get up, you get yourself together 7 o'clock, 8, whatever, 7:30. You leave, you have to drive into the office if you have an in-person job. So your day is occupied from 7, and then let's say you get home, you hit rush hour, 7 to 6. So let's say from the time you get up at 7 till 6 p.m. when you get home, you're occupied by work. And then you get home, you're tired, you might want to take a nap, or you might have some things to do, fix up the house, prepare food, whatever you're doing. So it's not really unwind time where you're doing something you like. It's that you're either just tired or doing things you have to do. So now this work time, there's nothing else that you're doing as many hours as your full-time job. So imagine if you're consistently depressed for 45 to 50 hours a week for 40 years. There's no way that you can just say, it's just a job, and when I come home, I just live my life. There has to be some kind of, middle ground in this merger. And I've always felt that way. I just haven't found it. My worst years self-employed have always been better than my best years clocking in. And I feel that way too, because this is not the first time that I've done this. It's just the first time in years. It's the first time in years that I've done this. Well, the last time I did it was about 5, almost 6 years ago now. And I filled my space with doing music gigs where I played the saxophone, where I did mental health, public speaking, photography gigs, videography gigs, and I really enjoyed that time. The only problem was it was a little bit feast or famine. Sometimes I got a lot of bookings, and sometimes there was none. So that's where the whole thing about not having the consistent money to pay the bills was getting to me. I'm going to the lobby. The banging is too loud and it gives me anxiety. Right, Holly? Because there's no up unless you know someone or are related to someone. And up at a company means nothing at another usually. That's a good one, Mark. I don't really know what it was that I said 3 minutes ago. However, I've never worked. Really? That makes my job history seem different. I think the longest company I ever worked for was my last company, and that was like 5 years. That's the longest. 1 to 2. When is your last day? My last day is December 1st. I've had short and long jobs. The longest was the best for me, but I had to stop when the lockdowns happened and they didn't bring my job back. The job that I had, I don't know if the lockdown you're talking about is 2020, but if it is, the work that I was doing in 2020 was some of the best, one of my favorite things that I ever did in my life. In 2020, I was a part-time peer counselor. I worked 2 days a week as a peer counselor, where I would go in the office and I would work 16 hours a week as a peer counselor, where I would meet people in the office and have sessions with them. And then the other 3 days, I worked part-time of this job that was called Helping Hearts. Helping Hearts was actually a job where I got the company van and I would get to drive out to elderly clients who were elderly and handicapped, in most cases, both of those things. And they didn't have to pay for the service at all because it was covered by the government. And I would just go help them in these 4-hour blocks with whatever needs that they might have, whether that was taking them to the laundromat, the dry cleaner, helping them shop for their groceries. Sometimes they would just want me to help them fix up their electronics in their house, take them to hair appointments, whatever they needed for that 4 hours. That was an awesome job. And I was so sad when the pandemic shut it down. I did have an option to go back when they opened back up, but they opened back up, I want to say almost a year after they shut down, and I was long since moved on to this new job. So, and plus, that was when I was doing part-time work, and I don't know, part-time work was easier on me, but it wasn't paying the bills as well. The classic starving artist. I was in a dance company called PBJ. Oh, I like that name. I like that as a name. I was laughing at your 6 1/2 line. I use that one often. Another one that I use is an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. That's another random one that I like. I've done some years, but self-employment. I want to be self-employed. That's my aim. And I hope that, a month from now, 2 months from now, I can come back and talk to you guys about this W. This W. I went down this rabbit hole the other day of watching YouTube videos of people saying that they have left their jobs, and some of them said like the first few months were really rough, but then, they put it together and they would never look back. Now on a PBJ. Thanks, Lisa. Sorry, Ma. Oh, have you ever seen the TaskRabbit application? I have, but I'm going to circle back to that. Thank you. I have seen it before, but I have not checked it in some time. Tons of odd jobs, like what your favorite 2020 job was. If they had something like that, I would do it again. And what was interesting? During that time period when my job shut down, I was still in contact with a lot of those clients. So what I offered for them was, a lot of them, because of them being susceptible population, couldn't do their grocery shopping. And they didn't trust doing an Instacart. So I offered to volunteer to go to the grocery store. I would get the grocery list from them, go to their grocery store, pick out all the stuff, bring it to their house, unload it. And I would just do that donation based. And honestly, they could have given me nothing, or, you know, I just said whatever you had to give or nothing. You don't have to give anything. If you want to give me something, you can. If you don't, you don't have to. And I got a pretty significant amount of money delivering these groceries to these former clients. But really, in terms of how I feel now, you know, there's a part of me that feels relieved, because I know that I've been holding on to something that I have no love for anymore. There's another part of me that's like, is this the right move? Is this the right time? I'll tell you something. I have been receiving confirmations from people, which is a part of why I've been feeling compelled to do this. I've had people reach out to me for exclusive projects that they want me to do related to this page. I can't talk about all the projects, but there's been people reach out to me for exclusive projects that they're like, I only want you to do this. If those things happen and I'm able to do those things for those people, but it's not even just whether the projects happen or not. It's the fact that a lot of the guests that I've had on my show are like, I love your channel. I hope you keep going with it, and I hope you make something out of it. And it means a lot. It means a lot for anyone to say it, but it means a lot for somebody that you bring onto your channel that you had to reach out to and figure out scheduling with, and somebody you watch on TV to come back and say, I love what your channel represents. I think you do a really good job. And I hope that you continue with it. And I hope that I'm able to come back and join you again on your channel. I've had two repeat people so far, but I have several others who are willing. I did Instacart in 2020, but when I started doing some calculating on how long it was taking me to go into the store, to find all their items, scan everything, get it in the cart, put it in the car, drive over to their house. I'm like, at the end of the day, this ends up almost being like working in the grocery store in terms of salary. Not that at this point in time, with not really having anything else on the table, I would do Instacart, but it's not my first choice. I actually signed up today for DoorDash, Uber Eats, you know. I'm also considering staffing agencies where you can do like day labor, stuff like that. There's no way that with the amount of options in the world today that I won't have any kind of an income. It's just a matter of figuring out a way to have a sustainable, repeatable, passive income to where I make income without having to just hustle for it. It's an awesome validation that they came back for another project because they connected with you the first time around. And y'all heard when John Brennan was on here that he said that he wants to have me on his podcast with him and Beth from The Challenge and from his Real World season. And they have a great podcast, by the way. I think it's called Getting Real with Beth and John, if I'm not mistaken. It's a really interesting podcast. I listened to them interview Cyrus, Katie. I think they interviewed Tech. They interviewed Tokyo, formerly known as David from Real World New Orleans. Great podcast. Do those delivery services mess with your car insurance? I don't even really know if I want to say this on here, but if you're honest with the mileage, I guess it hasn't made a well, I don't do it as of now, so I can say if you report to your mileage that you're doing, then yeah, it could. The driver jobs are good for instant cash. Well, that's the thing about it. You're right. That's the thing about it, really, is it's not really the amount of money that it pays you, it's the flexibility. That's the whole thing. Because if I want to do Instacart from like 6 o'clock to 10, 11, 12, like 6 a.m. to 12 p.m., and hustle for 6 hours so that I can have the rest of my day free, I can do that. But if I'm in the grocery store, despite the fact that I might make the same amount of money, I'm locked into the grocery store and I can't go anywhere. That's the key. I've read a lot about how this generation lives on that gig life, where they're gigs, traveling, do some more gigs, podcasting, gigs, YouTube or whatever they're doing, TikTok, gig. You know what I'm trying to say? Like a lot of this generation, and I don't mean generation as in just the younger generation, but I just mean this time period that we're in doesn't feel like they need 9 to 5s. Especially the younger people don't feel like I need a 9 to 5 because there's so many ways that I can make instant money, which there was not that before. Because I did Instacart, and I remember one day, I think I made $250 in one day. It was hard earned, though, I'm not gonna lie, but I made $250 in one day, and I was allowed to cash that out. It went right into my bank account that day. I didn't have to wait for it. It wasn't like every 2 weeks. I could get paid every single day with Instacart. Holly's smart. Yes, she is. Holly, that's awesome. Well, to be fair, you don't need a 9 to 5. Nowadays, no. I mean, in previous eras, not that I'll say you needed a 9 to 5, but there was a lot less known options for you. That's what I like about these days. Not we don't need a 9 to 5. 10 years ago, exactly. Being an entrepreneur from probably even as little as 10 years ago, 2013 and earlier, being an entrepreneur, you had to have you probably had to have, either you had to be lucky or you had to have some kind of really extremely good talent at something. Like you had to be some kind of artist or athlete or something that you were just supremely talented at. Whereas nowadays, something like TaskRabbit, like what you're talking about, they talk about things that you can do because other people just don't want to do them. Like Instacart, people who had their groceries delivered to their house used to be either rich or maybe have some kind of handicap, which makes it hard for them to do their own grocery shopping, or elderly or something. Nowadays, people will do Instacart or receive, grocery delivery just because it's convenient. Like I don't feel like getting up and going to the store and doing it myself. So then you get people who are like, no problem. I have no problem walking into the store for you, picking up all the stuff and putting it in my car, delivering it to you, and I get money just for bringing it to you. I think that Instacart is not going to be my main thing of choice, because I think I hopefully I think that I'm going to have a better experience with DoorDash or Uber Eats, because I don't have to pick out the stuff. I just have to pick it up and drop it off. Yeah, all of my 9 to 5, except for when I was, 20, 21, 22, when I thought that I had to do 9 to 5s, all of my other 9 to 5 experiences were mostly out of necessity. Oh, and here's another thing with the real estate. All states don't have reciprocity, so you can get a government grant, keep the extra cash from the grant, and do the same classes 3x per year and get paid. I see. You can make some serious cash with DoorDash. I will be finding that out soon. That's probably going to be the first thing that I'm going to do on not December 1, but December 2, I guess. December 2, when I'm officially off the books, which has been, wow. I had a time period of no job when my mental illness got so severe in 2013, and I didn't work from 2013 to 2015. And from 2015, I got a job again, and I've been consistently employed. Not full-time the whole time, but full-time, then part-time, then full-time. I have had some sort of employment each year from 2015 till now. And December 2nd is going to be the first time in those 8 years that I have not had an employment. So, wow, long time. Please update us. I definitely will. I'm definitely still going to be on here. I'm still going to be doing my recaps. I'm still going to be doing my different videos that I do. But I'm also going to be updating on what's happening with that. But with that being said, I want to thank all of you for your support. This page is a big part of also why I'm willing to make that leap and why I'm willing to bet on myself, because I know from here that there's many people who believe in me and what I stand for and what I'm doing. And I feel like stepping into my purpose and walking into my purpose, the things that are supposed to find me are going to find me. And I'm going to have this video in this time period to look back on and say, I'm so glad I took that chance. And after I took the chance, I never looked back, because DoorDash is not an end goal. TaskRabbit is not an end goal. But I am humble enough that I know that certain things are a means to an end. You can't live on this world without paying a bill. You can't live in this world without paying multiple bills. You have to pay for air. You have to pay for water. You have to pay for everything. I have to pay for the internet that I'm using to do this video on. You know what I mean? Nothing is free. So I know that there's things that I'm going to have to do to maintain the flow of my income. But with that being said, I'm willing to do what I have to do to create a life where I can be happy with the things that I'm doing to generate that income. Happiness was not important to my parents' generation and to my parents' parents' generation, and so on and so forth. Happiness is mandatory for me, and I'm going to leave it right there. And I want to thank everybody for your support. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. This week, Wednesday, I'm going to be covering the new challenge episode. Thursday, I'm going to be covering Thursday, I'm going to be covering the Survivor episode from Wednesday. And Thursday, I might also cover House of Villains. I probably will cover Survivor earlier, and then I'll cover House of Villains later, because House of Villains is going to be on by itself now, because there's no Big Brother or anything else going on during that time. You know, if I can find a way to generate enough interest on YouTube, I would love to be able to sit here and say that YouTube is my main source of income, honestly. So I'm going to be working on that too. I'm going to be working on figuring out what people like outside of Big Brother, because I already knew from last year that Big Brother, I call it the Big Brother boost. During the Big Brother season is when you get the most viewership, you get the most subscribers, the most comments, the most everything when Big Brother is going on. And when it ends, you figure out where to go from there. But I kept my page up, honestly, from last October up until this August, when the new season started, which is a long time period. So it's doable, but you know, Rome wasn't built in a day. And I think if I keep grinding at the page and figuring out different tricks, figuring out different ways to boost myself in the algorithm, different topics that people like, I'm going to keep trying different things. And the beautiful thing is now I'm going to have more time to do it, because I don't think everyone understands. You come out of such a negative, toxic space in a work environment, and then you have to try to create something for an audience. Sometimes I had to just force myself. There were days when I would get here and sit in front of this computer. It's not on or anything. I'm just sitting here and I'm like, where am I going to find the emotional energy to remove all the stuff that happened during the day and present myself a certain way for the people who are watching me? But once I turned the camera on, I found it always. Survivor. Yes, I hope it works out for you. Yes, and thank you again. And I hope everyone has an amazing night. For those who are on the Discord is fun. I promise y'all. Let me see if I can drop the link. The handy dandy link. Can I drop the link? Okay, I'm going to drop the link with my phone because for some reason on the computer, I'm having trouble. But I do know how to do it on my phone. On the phone has an invite members option. We have some cool chats in the Discord, so it goes down in the Discord. So that's my Discord. Join it if hopefully you'll join it. And I hope that everybody has an amazing night, and we will talk again soon.